100 yards, 100 yards, 100 yards, 100 yards, run it.
So Deyquan, thanks for coming through today.
Man, I appreciate you having me, brother.
It's been a long time since I saw you last.
Yeah, right, a couple hours.
Yeah, working out at the YMCA today, getting it in, huh?
Yeah, today was a cardio day, so 45 minutes on that incline.
Nice.
Got it in early.
Yeah, sorry if I was a little short with you. It was abs day for me, so I was, a little pissed off about it.
Now you seem focused, huh?
Yeah,
It's all good.
But I think that's good that you got to have a healthy routine in life these days, and it kind of reminded me of the importance of what you're building and the conversation we had about the UCC. So
Right.
I kind of want to take it back to, just your story overall. Like, where'd you grow up? Let the people
Okay.
know a little bit about your background.
Yeah, I'm from Harlem, Uptown, Polo Grounds, Building 1, born and raised. Pretty much lived in Harlem for the first 16 years of my life. Attended all local schools, PS 46, right there in the heart of my projects, 43, which is close to here, 129th in Amsterdam. And I did 2 years in high school at FDA, Frederick Douglass Academy, right on 149th and 7th Avenue. From there, I moved down to Asheville, North Carolina, played 2 years there, basketball, and I kind of bounced around different undergrad schools. I finished up at Lemoyne in Memphis, Tennessee, with a degree in finance. After that, I went on to Utica College with a master's degree in economic crime investigation. That was about 2012 through 2014. Since then, I've been heavy in entrepreneurship, some real estate, building out other storefronts and businesses locally here in Harlem, as well as nationally across the states.
Nice. So we're going to get into the business stuff, but I guess start off, can you tell us a little bit about the degree you got? Because I haven't heard of that before.
Oh yeah, so my master's degree is in economic crime investigation. So I kind of transitioned from there, or matriculated from there rather, to banking compliance, more specifically transaction monitoring, OFAC, which is sanctions, things like that, human trafficking, anti-terrorist finance.
Gotcha.
So I did that for a few years, about 2000 and right after my degree, 2014 to present. I still have a consulting company where we staff people, consultants, investigators for correspondent banks.
Gotcha. And talk to me a little bit about just, I guess, the real estate investing, how you got into that.
It was a lot of people actually from my AML background. I was a young person in the field. There was a lot of people a few years, 5, 10, 15 years older than me. So they already had some funds to invest, and they just kind of schooled me to the game. And as I continued to grow in the AML space, I ended up taking over a department. So at that point, I was financially ready as far as it pertained to liquid cash, and as it pertains to leveraging my credit. And I was able to kind of use them as a guiding force in order to jump into real estate.
So what was your first deal in real estate?
My first deal actually in real estate was a syndication out in Vegas. We did a 10 property deal that we put together. I think it was about 2015, 2016.
Okay. What is a syndication, for those who don't know?
Okay, so syndication is where it was a FHA syndication. So what I did was I guaranteed most of the loans based on my income, my credit score, and some money that I was able to put down. And then I got 10 other people who was able to qualify for first-time homeowners buyers, 3.5% down. And we were able to get about 10 properties under my personal guarantor and a few other people.
So you're pretty much the middleman putting all the deal together?
In a way, I wasn't necessarily the middleman. We had some real estate brokers and other people involved in the deal. I actually didn't know I could qualify for such a large deal based on the income that I had of my personal and my businesses. I kind of went to Vegas to help a friend. He called me. Actually, one of my friends that was at the Y with me today, he called me and said, hey, somebody I need you to meet. As a guy, he's doing some big business out here, and I think you guys will work well together. And they connected me with some real estate folks, and I didn't know my buying power or capacity at the time. Like many of us, we don't really know the abilities that we have until, you kind of try to do, and you're usually surprised at the things you can do.
So let's go a little bit into the details of that. Like, what would maybe someone who's doesn't have the knowledge, what would you say, what are a couple pieces of gems from your experience you would give them if they're interested in starting to invest,
I'd say, man, 2 things. Number 1 is your personal credit. You wanna sharpen up on your personal credit, and you also want to leverage your community and the people around you. When I say your community, I mean your friends, your family, teammates, classmates, colleagues. When you come together and work together, it's gonna make it a lot easier. And they say many hands make a light load.
Gotcha. And also, like from the other side, let's say, I think when investing, especially in communities of color, people are kind of like, they think everything's kind of a scam, and like, what is some due diligence someone who maybe doesn't have the knowledge do before, so they know they're not getting taken advantage of?
Well, I'm a firm believer in knowledge through experience. I mean, that's something I stand by. So I would say you can't be afraid. You got to take the fear and the mystique off something. Whatever you can do with $1, you can do with $1 million. It kind of breaks down the same way. So if I can only get $5 worth of inventory, I'm going to sell up this amount. Some of it's going to be gross. Some of that's going to be net. Some are going to go back in operating expenses, inventory, etc. So anything, I can start small and I can build myself up through that experience. And I think we can do that immediately in any type of investment. Airbnb is a real estate investment.
Yeah.
Turo is a real estate investment. That's a property. You have a vehicle. That's something you can start small. Rent out a bedroom in your own house, and kind of get some tools infused from there and continue to matriculate down the process.
I like that. So let's go into like maybe a first time investor experience, right? Let's say I'm coming out of college. I saved up 3 to 5K to put aside to do my first deal. It could be a vending machine, it could be a car. Like, I don't know if that's enough capital, but you know what I'm saying. Like, what would be your advice for maybe someone watching so they can get started the smart way?
Well, I say depend on the demographic, right? And I say the area that you live in. I actually started a Entrepreneur 101 to 103. Those are 3 courses that we're gonna get put into my college, Lemoyne-Owen in Memphis, Tennessee. The board is voting on that right now, so it's either gonna be implemented this semester coming in January or next semester coming in August.
Nice.
And that so let's use Memphis, for example. In Memphis, you can relatively get into the real estate market for cheap. So I'm part of that course is encouraging the students to take their refund checks, their Pell Grant, all of those kind of things, and grab a property. 2, 3, 4, 5 people come together. That can get you a 3, 4, 5 unit in a city like Memphis. If we're talking about something here like New York City, I'd say for the first part, hold on to your money and see what you can do without money. You can do grassroots marketing. You can knock on doors. You can send out emails and kind of push your product that way. You can do drop shipping. So I get a whole lot of demand for something I wanted to sell, whatever it is. Let's use that T-shirt example that we used a little bit earlier, and I do a bunch of mock-ups,
right?
And say who's interested in this, and now you can leverage that. We go back to the credit piece. I can go to my bank that I've been building up my personal and my business relationship with, and say, look at all these pre-orders I have. If you guys can help me purchase these, this is how much I'm gonna gross, this is how much I'm gonna net. And that's kind of your entry level into having a strong business relationship with the bank. And once you open that door, you kind of continue to grow on that from there.
I wanted to say, obviously you have a lot of this knowledge. You probably could just build up a lot of personal wealth and have a fun life. What makes you want to, kind of do the community work that you're doing? And
I mean, really, it was the people who raised me, honestly, and not just the people that may have put their physical hands on me to raise me, but the people that raised me virtually, the people I read books about, the people I watched their documentaries. This is the message that I got from a Marcus Garvey, from a Noble Drew Ali, from a Honorable Elijah Muhammad, from Malcolm X. Those people kind of raised me, so to speak. And also, my uncles, my dad, my community, they kind of put those values inside of me. So I would be remiss to kind of run off into the sunset. That wasn't kind of my DNA from the beginning.
Gotcha. And let's talk a little bit about the UCC and what you're building. Can you tell the viewers some of the mission behind that? Yeah,
so UCC, again, is the Universal Currency Chamber. And universal means it's all encompassing, right? It's all things. A currency is like a flow. You kind of think of an ocean, or you think of a current like a socket. And then the chamber is something that houses these things. So it's really a resource super center for our community. And we want to be able to take this pilot project that we're doing right here in Harlem and drop that off in every black metropolis across the United States. So you can come from anything A to Z. Just like you go to Walmart Supercenter, I can get a bottle of Tylenol, I can buy a tire. So when you come to UCC, we got workforce development for our people that may not have a GED or may have don't have a college degree. We got some programs for them to get trades, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, construction, things of that nature. For people that may have city jobs or gainful employment already, they may have a little bit of savings. We have some projects for them. You know, we got a Buy Back Harlem campaign. We're encouraging all our people to take advantage of these storefronts and these buildings for sale, and we'll be willing to help structure those deals. And through those, we can also employ the community. So if we own 10, 20, 30, 100 storefronts in our community, those folks in our community need to be working there as well. And then we have the STEAM piece, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. We have a few partnerships that we have coming up that's going to be teaching coding, ages about 8 to 15, as well as app development. And that's just to name a few. Again, it's a super center. So just giving a few, but we're having a launch on December 15th from 5 to 8. I encourage everybody to come out and see what we're about, and we're going to unveil a few of the programs that we have.
Gotcha. So it seems like you're attacking a lot of different, you know, a lot of different angles that can obviously help the community,
Right.
give them knowledge based on, you know, your knowledge and
Yep.
other things you've learned on the way. Kind of going outside in. What do you think are some of the disadvantages, especially in a community of color of Harlem that we're dealing with, that we have to really, you know,
Yeah, I
be
think
more.
the biggest disadvantage is it comes in an information space. So you have lack of information, misinformation, being underinformed, all of those kind of things. I think that's the biggest disadvantage. And we want to change that by providing some high quality information and also giving people opportunity to kind of learn and grow together. It's not about just giving away information. We got a lot of people that do that across the social media platforms. So I wouldn't want to kind of be grouped into that situation. It's a real product and service differentiation, because the premise of the UCC is for everybody to commune together. So if you're building something, somebody along the line kind of knows something similar to you or more or less, and you guys come together to grow. So we want all our business owners to begin to work together, all our entrepreneurs to begin to work together. Instead of having to run maybe to a bank or private equity, we're gonna reinvest together. You know, instead of having to ask for maybe a city grant or something like that, why would I do that when I can come to you, or I can come to this person down the street, and we can begin to empower and strengthen each other? That's how we really, you know, gonna change this community.
Gotcha. I like that. And speaking on like the Buy Back Harlem initiative.
Yeah.
Tell us about, you know, let's say with some of these storefronts, and if it's through the UCC or just in general, like how we should be looking at,
Yeah.
you know, as Harlem residents, ways to turn this into opportunities for other residents here.
Yeah, I mean, so that was actually a great question. I'd say wherever you live, especially if it's in Harlem, if you're on Lenox, 8th, 7th, if you just walk up and down your avenue, you're gonna see tens to hundreds of available storefronts. You're gonna see tens to hundreds of available commercial buildings. You don't always need the money to do these things. You may need the plan or the idea and learn how to structure deals. I encourage people to take money out the equation. That's one of the biggest sleight of hands in the economy, is this idea that you got to have money. Money is a medium of exchange. It kind of gets the deal going, but I don't really need money to purchase a building. I need to say, how's this building gonna be current? You know, how's it gonna have an energy source?
Right.
And from there, somebody else or some other entity could potentially bring the money to that deal. And I would, myself or another person or a group of people can be the brains behind that deal.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it's kind of like flipping the mindset to,
Correct.
how can I add value? How
Yes.
can I come up with the plan?
Yeah.
If you have the plan, then you can kind of figure the rest
Right.
out.
So what happens tomorrow when they say, okay, money's worthless, you need tomatoes?
Yeah.
Well, what all the billionaires gonna do with the money that they have?
Right.
Or the 100,000, whatever you have, you don't got tomatoes.
Yeah.
So now you can't buy anything. So you got to have a mind that kind of works in that way, you know, to be a producer.
For sure. And speaking of mindset and going back to kind of general economics here, you know, we were talking about it, there's obviously, you know, your Roth IRAs and certain
Right.
things that people have. For the younger people watching this, or even not, like give maybe some check boxes that most people should have to be financially secure.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I mean, I'd say for sure, I start with that life insurance piece, like you said, with the young people, because, and I don't quote me on this, I'm not a life insurance salesman, anything like that, but this is the information I had at a particular time. I will always encourage people to check your sources. You know, I say, if I say something, go and find out if it's real, knowledge through experience. But I believe if you're under 21, you don't have to do a physical, right? So that means you're going to get prime life insurance at a young age, 18, 19, 20, 20 years old. You can get 200, 300, 500,000, maybe $1 million for a few $100 a month.
yeah,
A kid working a part-time job, you can start building through that whole life insurance vehicle for maybe 1/4 of one of your checks. If you're getting paid every week, you're getting 4 of them. You may be able to put $50 up or just take a portion of your first check. I say that's one major thing. I encourage anybody and everybody should have LLCs. That's also going to be one of the programs that we're really pushing, some type of incorporation, because through a corp, there's a lot of tricks that you can do. And I don't mean tricks in a negative way. That kind of has like usually like a sneaky connotation to it. But through a LLC, you're going to get, it's a lot more lending power. Again, we talked about you don't always need the money. So if I go into a banking situation as a person, even with an 800 score, there's a limit to what they're going to give a person. But what you'll give a business is way different.
gotcha.
You know what I mean? So those are two things that I encourage. And I'd say be a real guardian of your credit, because that's going to unlock the financial industry, I mean, for you for sure.
What do you think about Roth IRAs?
I think all of those kind of saving vehicles can be utilized in the right way. It just depends on how you go about it. So if you're kind of funding it for some years, and again, real estate or any kind of investment opportunity comes up, now you can take some money out of that, you know, especially at a young age. If you're in your 30s or your late 20s, you kind of fall from retirement anyway. So you can always replenish, you know, those kind of accounts, especially if you're, well, not even going to say if, when your investment goes well, you can always replenish that kind of thing. So you can take any kind of investment vehicle, any kind of savings vehicle, and if you know how to use it, it's more like the driver, not the car. You know what I mean?
Definitely, yeah. Because I'm interested in this because I've recently been learning more about you know, just compound interest and how powerful it is.
Right.
And I think that's, when I was younger, I thought investing was, you know, way more complex.
Yeah,
it's
for
not.
sure.
It's kind of like boring and just, you know, letting it ride for a long time. You know, especially if you're more value investing. You know.
Yeah,
Like,
I would say that in our community, and really all consumer type communities, we have to get more comfortable with long-term investments,
yeah.
or even which short-term, a year from now, 6 months from now, 90 days down the line. We kind of get used to getting paid every day, and that's more of a worker's mentality, right? If I bang my hammer this amount of times, then my hand is out. Somebody should be paying me today or next week or, you know, 2 weeks. But, you know, 2 weeks is already gone. It's already February. You know what I mean? But we only in the first week of December. So if we start to think like that and say, okay, 6 months ain't too long. A year is not too long. And get more focused on building strategies and having a plan that you can execute rather than hoarding money. Because you really can't do much with money except spend it.
Yeah, your money should be working for you.
Right.
You know. And let's talk a little bit about just the stock market in general, buying equities. Like, I think sometimes people are, I don't know, they make it a little bit more complicated than it really is. Like, what are your thoughts on playing the market and at least understanding it?
Okay, well, so I think you got to read, you got to educate yourself. And again, I'm going to go back to what I said a little bit earlier, is that knowledge through experience. You got to do it yourself because everything is, we get all our information from 1, 2, 3, 4 sources. You know, so the market could look like this, and it's been, you read in Google and your Yahoo Finance and this and that. That can be a sleight of hand. You know what I mean? People short the market all the time, or give bad information, some insider trading in there. You just can't have fear. You know, you got to get over the idea of fear and get over the, like you stated, oh, this is boring, and say, hey, what do I really want? I'm going to educate myself, and I'm going to take a risk at the end of the day, because no one person controls the market. You can bet on Apple. I don't think Apple's gonna crash, but it could. You can bet on Amazon, you can bet on Tesla, you can bet on Berkshire Hathaway, all of the big major companies, and we don't know how the world is gonna shift. So really just educating yourself and being willing to say, I'm gonna keep going. That's like a special talent. I've missed a million shots in my life.
Yeah.
But you gotta be willing to take them and make the big one.
Yeah. I think Charlie Munger, who just passed, he was like, yeah, you only got to be right once to get rich.
Right.
It's a powerful quote, Like
Yeah.
you don't know what the market's getting. You got to be ready for those opportunities.
Yes, exactly. And
Like,
that ties back into what we talked about the credit piece. There's so many little tricks. Like I found a way to buy stock during the pandemic with a credit card.
Okay.
So I had a bunch of 0% interest credit cards, and I was buying. It was a limit to what you can buy daily. But right around the time when some of them big companies did their stock split, I was just every day, I'm just going buying stock, buying stock, buying stock.
Interesting.
So just, and being willing to do it.
And I think, some of like my close family, I get to talk to them about the market a lot. And I know, and that's why I want to share this information with others.
Right.
Because I know how powerful that was when I realized I got older, and I was like, always just, hey, what do you think about this company, Chewy? Or what do you think, like, it's kind of powerful. And I think, and that's what I like about the UCC, where it's like, that could be a spot where you go there. Maybe there's an investment club I go to on Tuesdays. And we talk, and we just kind of normalize these things.
Yes.
Because once that's more normal, you're having these conversations, and now you got a buddy, hey, what are you doing? That's kind of like your deal flow for how you move. And you know what I mean? Like, where you sharpen your tools.
Skill,
And I think that's kind of my macro explanation of what the UCC is. Kind of like a tool sharpener.
Correct.
And a place to hone your skills, where you don't have to go outside the neighborhood to do so,
Yeah, exactly. I think you kind of grabbed the all-encompassing statement right there. And essentially, like you stated, what you do is what you do. So if I'm only talking about who scored the most points last night, or who had how many tackles that they had, or somebody had a turnover, that's what I know how to do. And I kind of get great at that. But most of the time, those are just conversation and speaking points. But we're not becoming sportscasters or journalists, or we don't have a radio station or something like that. So it's not really benefiting you, But when you're having those economic conversations, or even about raising your kids, or being a better husband or wife, or a better son or daughter, something that has a real change value in your life. So, I started to feel my conversation, my thought process, just everything I do, I think of it like a business. How do I turn this into something that's beneficial to my business? Or if it's not exactly beneficial, how can I expense it out through a business, which will help me later down the line?
Yeah, no, I really like that. And tell me, so, UCC is about to do its grand opening.
Yeah.
What are your goals first, 3 to 5 years? I don't like 1 year goals. But,
okay.
How are you looking next 3 to 5? What are some boxes you'd like to check off?
So we looking at, I'd like to have about 5,000 to 10,000 members.
Okay.
Nationally. That's something that we're putting on our, and when I say members, it's kind of a little different than followers, right? Because sometimes, and I'm not a real big social media guy, so somebody can correct me. I haven't been on social media up until recently for like 7 years. Mm-hmm. So my former experience with social media is people like things, they make comments, but it doesn't always go somewhere. They might even be a follower, but how does that contribute to your overall with your brand, or what you're pushing, or how your growth model? So our members would be members that pay a certain number monthly, right? And through those monthly, you get certain things in the Meta and the Material. That's a subsidiary of the UCC. So through the Meta, we would give virtual classes, ebooks, audio, those kind of things, podcasting, YouTube, through the Meta. And then in the Material, we'll be having, like you said, investors, mastermind, think tanks, putting on courses for the community. So if you have members, and that all of those funds, some are going to be operating expenses, but those funds are going to go to creating this content that we put into the Meta. Those funds will go to upkeep of the process. And also those funds will go to keeping some of the youth and guiding them up. So how do we take that kid that was 8 years old in our coding program? How do we get them in a great junior high school, a great high school? How do we get them into one of them power colleges? I'm not all for sending our kids to Harvard and MIT and things like that, but some of them gonna have to go there. So, and then when they go there, they don't got to go to Silicon Valley. They can come right back here to Harlem. Some of our other kids, we're going to push them through the trade program. Some of the other youth, we want to send them to the Lemoyne Owen. Got to send them to my college. But we also want to send them to some other colleges, the Howards of the world, the Hamptons, the Norfolk States, and kind of continue to build that pipeline. We can't lose our players, so to speak, like the ABA did, or how all the, the Jackson State and the Grambling States, all them players are now going to Alabama and Auburn and Colorado.
Right.
We got to stay home, so to speak.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I wanted to also like just ask, I guess a statement. It seems like it's going to be a massive ecosystem,
Yes.
With tentacles everywhere where it kind of, they bounce off of each other.
Correct.
So speaking of that, it seemed, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like a lot of the business owners, especially in Harlem, which compared to other neighborhoods is good because there's definitely a sense of community here, which is special. But I still don't think there's enough of helping other entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
What are some of the benefits you would say in terms of, I'm a business owner from Harlem, I want to be a part of the UCC. Even me personally, I do. Like, what would be kind of your way to say, hey, this is how we'll point blank help what you got going on?
Yeah. So I think we have a macro and a micro, right? On a micro level, we'd have to kind of have an intimate understanding on exactly your business model or structure or some of your goals. Then on a macro level, is if you look at it, there's not a lot of independent franchises, so to speak. We don't have an ABC Inc. on 5 or 7, 10 different corners. You might have one guy that owns a barbershop, then he owns a coffee shop, then he owns a print situation. But we don't have people franchising out, so to speak. So we got 100 restaurants. We can start, maybe some of those people come together and put another one, 100 barbershops, but maybe that one guy that's doing well on 154th, he doesn't have the capital or the cash flow or the credit or the acumen to expand. So we want to help people expand, really. And like you said, many tentacles. We want to have continuous growth, and the only way you do that is to have more people, more businesses, more funding, more cash flow, more income, more everything, more energy, more currency.
Yeah, no, I like that. And these are some negatives that I see, and we can obviously cut this if it sounds crazy, but I just think based on my experience as a business owner, when I'm working with someone or you're trying to hire or build something, it's like, I feel like sadly sometimes in the Black community, everyone has to be like the top dog.
Yeah.
And that, like, I don't know if it kind of is an ego thing, but maybe it's a knowledge thing. Like, it's a lack of like playing your role, you know what I'm saying? And then it's just like, hey, I might as well outsource all of this because I don't have time to deal with these headaches.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's a loaded question, but you kind of see what I'm saying, and what are some solutions we can build with that? I think it's getting better, but it's like still a huge issue,
Yeah, I mean, I think you ultimately you're gonna have issues whenever you're trying to do something great. There's gonna be some major things you gotta jump over. I don't want to say hurdles or obstacles. It's come with the game. If I'm a boxer, I'm gonna get punched. If I'm a basketball player, somebody's gonna foul me. It's just a part of the game. So I look at it that way. But when we get into the psychology, right, of people, especially our people, you talk about an ego. I had to build a big ego because everything told me that I couldn't be what I knew I was. So I have to have a certain bravado. When I say I'm speaking for the greater eyes, right?
Yeah.
So it's some of those kind of things. So when you have a downtrodden people that's been beat down for many years in all kind of ways, through media, in person, maybe in a domestic situation, when I come out into the world, if I've been kind of closed down, this is my opportunity now. Now I want a hot dog. I want to show what I got. I'm trying to shoot every time I touch the rock.
Yeah.
But, when you of the people and for the people and by the people, you can kind of break through that. You ain't going to reach everybody. I look at it like a relay race. The first person is never going to touch the fourth person.
Yeah.
But if I can touch that second person, he touched the third person, and he touched the fourth person, we kind of still interconnected. Because it goes back to that meet people where they at kind of thing. You can't be at a 30,000 feet up where some of our more educated or more experienced people are and try to have a conversation with somebody on the ground. They ain't even gonna hear you.
100%. But I also think like the way we've always gotten through whatever hurdles, whatever you want to call them, challenges, is that the mindset's always been like, we're living for a bigger purpose than ourselves, you know? It's not to shit on anyone else. It's like, this is I think that's an important mindset shift, you know? Like,
for sure it is.
Whenever I level with someone, I'm like, yo, what's going on? And I'm like, hey, this is what it's for. You kind of have to take a back seat. Everyone's human, has ego, but you know, that's an important, I don't know, mindset 101 at the UCC might be important, you know, especially for youngins, because
for sure
it will help. I wish I had some of the little lessons to have when I was coming up as a business owner, and it would have like caused less strife. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'd love to give that back to the community, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not again, I say the things that I know, and if I'm wrong, I challenge the people to correct me, because I'm always open to learn. But I believe somebody told me this when I was a youngster, that somewhere along the lines in the Bible, right, it says like, there's a certain number, I don't want to throw the number out there, but only a certain number of people can make it into heaven, right? Or something to that effect. We got to look at it the same thing, right? You're not going to take everybody, because not that they're a bad person, not that they're a good person. They may not want to go to the destination. If I'm going west, this guy might want to go east. I can't drag him west with me. I got to let him go east, because going east may send him west because of the experiences that he have on that pathway. But if I drag him and he's coming disgruntled, I ain't gonna reach my destination because I'm carrying somebody that might be bigger than me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you gotta let those folks go. And even if you look at the country that we live in, there's a handful of people that control. We almost at 500 million folks in America if we're not already there. It's not 100,000 people that call the shots for 500 million.
Oh, definitely.
So if we can kind of get that nucleus, we don't necessarily need everybody to get that understanding. We just need the right people, and we'll see a major change in our communities.
100% agree. And let's dive into that a little bit more. Blackstone, Viacom, you know, I guess it's called Paramount now, BlackRock. Like, these are all white-owned companies. Those three companies own practically everything.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to many up-and-coming black entrepreneurs, and they're talking about those type of businesses. You know? I think, and listen, we're definitely getting better, but I think we're still a little too flashy into this entertainment stuff. And, you know, like, it's those guys are pawns on this chessboard of life and big business. You know, like, how can we educate who these real players are out here? You know.
I mean, that was a great question, man. that's one of those things where you're gonna go down that path of like the whole conspiracy thing, you know. And I think everybody's not ready for that conversation because you have to re-examine. It sounds like, I mean, haven't known you for many years or anything, but I would say one or two things happened. Either the people around you did a great job educating you to these things, or you had an awakening in your life at a point. And those are kind of the only two ways you can have those conversations. You know what I mean? And again, we got to take a hand in raising some of these folks, and we'll be agents of that awakening, so that you don't look at it so much. It's not like you said, it's not a scary movie kind of conversation. Oh, these people and they're controlling. It's like, no, these folks come together to make major things happen on a global scale. Those companies you named are global companies. And if we're coming from a micro economic level, that ball has been rolling for a couple hundred years. It's gonna take us a little while to get there.
No, for sure. But Steven Schwartzman didn't start Blackstone that long ago. What he's accomplished is incredible to me. You know, Sumner Redstone, he bought Viacom not that insane long ago for what you see they've done. You know, so and these guys could walk down the street in Harlem for a while
and nobody
they wouldn't know who they are. You know, but they'll know a rapper who maybe got, I don't know, 99% less of what these guys are worth, and that's not even important. The influence, and I'll bring it back. I read the book Why Do White Guys Have All the Fun about Reginald F. Lewis, and started learning about leverage buyouts, and that's when my mind shifted. I was like, oh, this is the game here. You know what I'm saying? Orchestrate. These guys were buying billion-dollar companies, not using a cent of their own money. You know what I'm saying? So
that's the move.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we have to get better at. I want to talk about one of the deals, like Tyler Perry recently was what he was trying to buy. I think BET or Was he trying to buy all of Viacom or something? Like,
Man, I'm not familiar with the
yes.
exact framework of the deal, to be honest with you.
But I mean, it's. I guess the whole question is just like it's really important we understand. I even think sometimes we're distracted by cool culture. So that was really the question. Like, and there's no getting away from it. It's just kind of like I'm just excited for what the UCC can do, because when I talk to people, they might be very young and might not know, especially people in Harlem who are in our community, people of color. They're interested and they're like, oh, thank you for putting me on. Right. And then they might share that information with someone else, you know what I'm saying? And that's all I'm trying to do. It's not to, hey, I know all this, you know?
No, yeah, I mean, everybody kind of know a bit of something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's like massive amounts of information in the world. Yeah, we don't know as much about the ocean. You know what I mean? We explore like only a few percentage of the ocean.
Yeah.
You know, out in the universe, out there, if you believe in that kind of stuff, you know, the Pluto, the Mars, the this and the that. We haven't been to all of those places and kind of put boots on the ground. So there's so much information. You just mentioned a book. There's probably millions of books in the world. So any one person, somebody that you think is a genius, we still got to realize this guy has like less than 1% of information.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I think we all are agents of that change.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say for someone who's watching this and like, damn, this is impactful, I'm learning a lot, they want to be a part of the UCC. I'm trying to change my life. I'm not doing great right now. What are some simple things that, you know, you're a man of routine. You're someone who takes care of themselves. You eat healthy, you work out. Like, tell us about kind of that process, because I was not always healthy in doing that, but it took a while to get those habits, but it did happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure you've seen people do a 360. You know what I'm saying? So talk about that.
Yeah. So I'm not, like you mentioned earlier, I think it's a psychology thing. It's a mental thing, and I don't necessarily know if that's something you could teach. It's a want thing. It's a passion thing, and it got to be inside of you. And sometimes you can find it inside of you through outside experience. You know, it's kind of like when you get to that point, like I had enough of this, whatever that might be. I had enough of eating bad, so I'm gonna start eating great. I had enough of blowing through my income. I'm gonna start saving, something as simple as that. Or had enough of being tired, just showing up to work. I'm sleepy. All right, I'm gonna cut the TV off or cut the phone off at 10 so I can sleep 7, 8, 9 hours. So those things has to, you know, come from within. And I think the more we see the images of people with that kind of discipline, with that kind of commitment, with that kind of focus, as a monkey see, monkey do. You know, you kind of, like we talked about awakening, you awaken those characteristics in people. Definitely. But it has to be, how do I say it, presented more. Because we don't have a shortage of people that's doing great in this world.
100%.
It's just how do we magnify and glorify and put those people out there as much as we may put those other images out there.
Right, because if someone who's, you know, super focused, they're not going to be seen as much.
Right.
They're doing their thing, you know. Like, they're putting in the hours.
Exactly.
You know. You're seeing the product, but you might not be
see
seeing
the work.
them. You know. Like, so it's an interesting thing. What are some personal challenges that you've gone through? What motivates you every day to get up and keep going no matter what?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't want it to sound like a funny thing, but there's something I always wanted to do. I always looked at myself like a hero. Like you remember the movie 300? Mm-hmm. I always felt like I could take my 300 and go against a strong army. The kind of systematic things that we see. You know what I mean? Even when I was an athlete playing basketball, I love Michael Jordan. I love Kobe, but I always really loved AI. Because I say, you can give me 9 whoever's, and we're going to get to that championship. Yeah. So it was something in me that I just always wanted to be a lead. I always wanted to lead my folks. I always felt like I was somehow tethered to these great men ahead of me. And I didn't know I was going to be in this space. I thought I was going to the NBA. I'm going to be, you know what I mean, scoring title leader. But I always had a calling to lead people. And when I kind of, I hate to use that term, woke up, you know what I mean? But when a certain light or a certain switch clicked, you know, in me mentally, spiritually, and I kind of took my focus off of those other things, and put it on how can I uplift first the people that's arm's length from me, and then those things kind of spilled over to the people that maybe 2 or 3 or however many arm lengths from me.
Gotcha. Nah, I like that. And speaking of, people you look up to and people that are, let's say, around now,
Yeah.
you have dinner, you gotta, you're going to somewhere to eat tonight. You can pick 2 or 3 people to learn from and dine with. Who would be at that table with you?
Man, I'd say, well, we want to keep it. I'd say, man, I would definitely want to get next to Warren Buffett. I had a college professor. I was a freshman, so I was about 18.
Okay.
And I'd wear my team sweatsuit to class, and he always tell me, "You're gonna be the next Warren Buffett." At the time, I didn't know who Warren Buffett was, and I started to look into him and see what he had going on. So he's somebody I want at the table, for sure.
Yeah. UCC needs to bid on one of
Yeah.
his charity dinners,
So that's one. If I could do 4.
Okay.
That's possible.
Yeah.
I'd like to have some of the other brothers that I didn't have a chance to mention, but they were real influential in my growth. I'd say Dr. Claude Anderson. I'd love to sit down and be able to commune with him. Anthony Broder. I'd love to be able to get around him. And James Smalls. Yeah. So we gonna throw let's put Warren Buffett at 4th and put them other ones at 1, 2, and 3.
Nah, I like that. I definitely think that's an interesting list. I'm gonna look into these guys some more. Only got a few more questions for you. I would say, what are some of the for people watching this, especially from Harlem,
Okay.
that don't understand, and we were talking about this before, like how powerful we are, the residents of Harlem, just,
Yeah.
and that we can't take our power for granted. Like, what would you want to tell these people watching this, especially, our residents, even people in other cities, that might be seeing this, people of color,
I'd say, man, I'm gonna start with a somewhat of a comedy, but it's for real. I'd say Harlem Knight is back. I'm the knight here. I'm here to protect and serve my community in a real major way. So if you from Harlem in a certain age range, you probably know me. And again, you know that work ethic that I put forth on that basketball court and in that classroom. And I'm bringing that same type of energy to our community. So you know the way I fought on that court, and I didn't have no kind of quitting me. That's how I'm gonna be fighting for our folks. So that's one thing. The next message I would say is we just got to band together. We're stronger together. That's the overarching message of the UCC. Let's see what we can do together. There's so many opportunities out there that individually, one of us may never be able to touch that as of one person.
Definitely.
But 2 people can do it, 10 people can do it, 100 people can do it, 1,000 people can do it, and it's more of us than you definitely believe. I think that's another propaganda piece to make everybody so much of an individual that you don't even see yourself in the people that's right next to you, your neighbor, upstairs, downstairs, across the street.
Yeah.
We all from Harlem, so we all got a lot of that same ingredients in this gumbo. Should I say chopped cheese then?
Yeah.
Because we in Harlem.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And a last question for you: Who like would you want to just give their flowers, and who made it possible for you to sit down, have this interview, be doing this, having the impact you are today?
I'm gonna name a couple people if that's all right.
Yeah.
So I definitely had to start with my mother and my father for sure, because they gave me they gave me life. If you believe in the creator selected them to bring me forth here to do this. So those are the people that I'd have to thank daily, for kind of molding me and giving me the opportunity to be myself. They never kind of steered me off from going after what I was into. If I wanted to do it, they just say, go ahead, I believe in you, do it. And a few other people along the way. I don't want to get in trouble, name some folks. They'll be like, hey, you left me out. You know who you are, the people that helped me, that whether it was a pat on the back, whether it was a glass of water, the whole Harlem was responsible for this.
Yeah.
I'd say mostly. And there was some other people spread out across the United States that, that was been there for me. I thank you guys hopefully you see this interview and you know exactly who I'm talking about. I'm talking to you, those folks that been there for me. I appreciate it. I love you guys, and we got a big year coming up for sure.
Definitely. And last one, name a couple things. What makes Harlem so special to you?
Man, I think the people, the energy. We the lifeblood of New York. All my Bronx and Brooklyn people, I love y'all, but Harlem, baby, we are the lifeblood. So yeah, we the energy. That's what it is. The people, man.
I like that. Shit, man. I think that was good. I think we got a wrap here.
Man, I appreciate you brothers for having me.
Of course,
for
man.
sure. That was a great line of questioning.